Welcome back to the channel, guys. I don't know why I'm here.
Why wouldn't he be here? World famous Darren Tang here to help us out with the Week 6 PBA Power Rankings. Heading on over to Middletown, Delaware. Lots of friction. 44 feet?
Something in the long range. Medium, the middle-ish range of the longs. It's not like a 42 or a 49. It's somewhere in the middle. 44, 45.
I will take a little hands-up accountability. Last week, I thought the scores weren't going to be very high. That was a big, fat lie. So hopefully this week I'm correct. I'm thinking they're going to be pretty high. Typically in that building, scores are astronomical. And you give them a long pattern, it's probably not going to be too difficult.
The only deterrent, I believe, is how short the ball returns are. I think that could bring down the scoring pace. Not a lot of guys are used to taking steps that small or less than 3 steps. You know, the 3-step has become a common thing on the tour. 2, or a hesitation step, a small first step in the 3-step approach, that's going to be kind of tough.
Yeah, and we expect that the guys are going to get there quickly, as we always do in Delaware. Again, high friction, older AMF lane surface. It's going to get the guys going left, especially on the long pattern. They're going to, ideally not throw it too far right, and when that happens, you're just going to move left.
About half the lane is not in play.
Half lane is not in play, but we're going to get right into it. At number 10, we're bringing on first-timer in the PBA Power Rankings, Mr. Consistency this year, Zach Wilkins. Darren, you've seen him. Tell me what we see out of Zach Wilkins.
I think when you're bowling on tour, it comes in streaks, when you're seeing the right thing, it's typically not too different week to week. So if you're able to capitalize on the small, minute changes from week to week, you're going to have consistent success. And I think that's what Zach's going on right now. His ball roll's matching up to whatever we're bowling on. He's making good decisions. And when you're seeing everything the right way, you're going to bowl well.
Yeah, perhaps making a career-altering manufacturer change?
Could be, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say any one brand is better than the other, but some match up better to other styles. Zach coming off of being with Motive, now with Hammer, he gets to go the black hammer and all the equipment that comes under the Brunswick umbrella. It just seems like the bowling balls are matching up a little bit better for him.
Yep, last week's 4th place finisher, lowest finish 18th this year out of the first 5 events, so we expect Zach to be in there wheeling and dealing again at Delaware. But at number 9, a good friend of the program, Adam Johnson.
Adam, Eugene.
Is he a Eugene?
Allen, Johnson.
Adam Johnson. Last week, 20th place. Prior to that, 2 straight shows. What do we think?
I guess I'm kind of the insider here, kind of seeing what's going on tour right now, and you're not out there anymore. I talked to AJ after his first show going into, where were we, Springfield? I said, what was different for you? He said, really just buckled down on the mental performance stuff. He reached out to Brian Kane. Out of everybody on Team USA, and for those that don't know, Brian Kane is a mental performance coach that works with all kinds of athletes, not just with bowlers, but he's worked with the program, Team USA program, for quite a while now. And AJ's got him on speed dial. And he didn't bowl so well the first 2 weeks. Hit him up, did some, did some work, and here he is. He's here. Yeah,
AJ, a big momentum guy, as we've spoken about before, really gets into his feelings, and when those feelings are very positive, you can expect AJ to throw strikes in bunches, which are going to be necessary in Delaware.
All year.
And all year, pretty much. Other than the U.S. Open, strikes have been paramount. But we're moving on to number 8, Jason Bel Monte. Probably could have put him higher. First event back from his little vacation back in Australia. Finished 11th in the Indiana Classic. Not really making too much noise, just kind of having a ho-hum week, I suppose.
I don't think it matters what Belmo says about how the traveling affects him, whether it does or does not. It has to. It's hard when you're coming from the other side of the world and you have to compete with the best of the best.
I thought you were going to say he's impervious.
He's not impervious. I mean, given how he bowled this week, 37 feet is probably not his best length, but I definitely saw just how the lanes transitioned and how far left we could get, how quickly we could have got there, or we did get there. I definitely think Belmo could have bowled a little better if he was still in the States.
He was
consistently
uncharacteristically behind the moves.
Possibly. Honestly, until block number 2, I didn't think we could move left that fast, but starting block number 2. we went from urethane balls, and EJ went to reactive, jump left, game 2 immediately. Yeah, I had a decent look, the last couple blocks of the first game, so of course I'm going to look at it, but EJ being EJ, ahead of the game, seeing the lanes about as clear as day, making the moves he's got to make, and at that point, just shot making.
I was under the impression he just opens up whatever bag and he just picks what ball looks coolest, and then he
opens whatever bag and finds the Venom Shock.
That's what I thought happened. Every time I see him bowl, it's either the new ball or it's the Venom Shock.
I did call it on the show.
And then he makes TV and it's the Venom Shock every time.
He didn't want to take that bet. It's a bad bet.
No, yeah, that was a very bad bet. But anyways, Jason, number 8, moving up to number 7, someone I've had a lot of stock on past few weeks. Nyeper Venson, a guy I feel like is just he's gonna have a week soon. He's been around, making cuts, been around there. I feel like he's just got to get there. And Delaware being a very popular place for the left-handers to strike, even the right-handers that can play the left side of the lane. Nyeper, I expect to be in the running.
I do give the left side a bit of an advantage this week just because of how soft the lanes have been lately. And that ball return, I think, is going to be a really big issue for a lot of right-handed players. But Nyeper, still navigating this new urethane ball. So I think once he really dials it in, that's when he's going to be off to the races. Yeah,
pretty simple. Nyeper's going to figure it out. He'll drill enough 78 U's to where he's going to get one that he finds the nuts with. But Nyeper, our good friend there at number 7, moving up, our even better friend, Marshall Kent, last week's 3rd place finisher, coming off a win obviously earlier this year, looking like he's in peak Marshall Kent form.
Yeah, it wasn't his best performance on TV, but given the angles that he was trying to play and what it's kind of pros and cons kind of deal. Pick your poison, if you're gonna hit it that hard and open up the angles that much on a pattern that short, you cut him a little short, it's gonna take off on you like that. And I bowled next to him all week. He's bowling great right now. He's mentally in a really good place, and he seems a lot happier than he has been the past few years. So I really like how he's bowling. I like where his head's at, and I expect continued success.
Yeah, another thing that seems like a trend on TV is like the guys who are playing the hold and to hit the pocket have seemed to be winning these matches. You can see Marshall and EJ both went with the fairly aggressive route, throwing reactive. It's kind of the reaction on short that you hit the pocket, it's probably going to strike, but your misses are going to be very costly. As you saw with the Marshall match, Brooklyn barely hit the head pin, and then
he did have a Brooklyn, and then
and then pinched another one, missed the head pin. That's just kind of the nature of the 37-foot and below, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you get
specifically in that situation, it's really hard because that's about the maximum amount of pressure you're going to feel throughout the entire event. So you just got to be that much better if you're going to do that in that position.
Yeah, you commit to it and it works. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, well, then you lose.
Still almost won the match, too.
Almost won the match. Marshall, we expect another great week out of him. Expecting a great year. Looking like a Player of the Year campaign, something that he's probably been destined for since the beginning of his arrival. But moving on to the top 5, last year's doubles champion, Packy Hanrahan, in the same building. No purple, obviously, but has seemed to acclimate to the black very well.
It doesn't seem like it's been too much of a culture shock in terms of urethane balls for either brand. The black one, just as serviceable as the purple one, given that everyone has to throw the same ball.
Yeah.
Again, highlighting that the left side is probably going to have a bit of an advantage this week, just because of that ball return again. And Packy has won here. That is clear confidence in this building. I like Packy this week.
Pretty simple. Packy, we expect him to be one of the odds-on favorites, perhaps, to make the show. What's the format? Do you know the format?
This one's back to a match play format.
Oh, is it the bracket again?
It is the bracket, so it could mix things up a little bit. Definitely going to see more curveballs rather than just a straight eliminator, because that's just pure games. The guy that knocks down the most pins is going to make the show. But here, you just really never know what can happen.
I was going to say, with the eliminator format, Packy Hanrahan could be dangerous. But with the bracket, a guy like could also be dangerous, sneaking there to top 16 and
we just got to get there. I like my chances.
Cut a few heads maybe. But Packy Hanrahan, number 5, the house bowling content creator. But up to number 4, last week's champion, Kyle Troop. You might be thinking, 2-time champion this year?
2-time champion. The only 2-time champion.
The only 2-time champion. Second in points. Only have him in number 4. How did we get there?
Well, I do like him for Player of the Year at this current moment, but the reason why we don't have him higher up and only in 4th is just because of the guys ahead of him were bowling just tremendous and they're consistent. Right now, Kyle hasn't been super consistent. He's won twice, but he's only cashed twice.
Has only cashed twice. So he's making making the most out of the ones he has, not perhaps getting as much as he could from the ones he doesn't. So just for consistency's sake, we had to plop Kyle down there in 4th, but as the year has shown, if he is feeling pretty good about himself, he's a threat to win. So we'll see. It'll probably be a very early indicator how he bowls in the first couple blocks to see if we're going to have another Kyle Troop week or if we're going to see something else. But Kyle at number 4, moving up to the top 3, William ONeal, previous number 1 rank, your leader in PBA points thus far, PBA Players Champion. Number 3, Bill ONeal, pretty self-explanatory.
Proving his nickname's worth, the real deal. He's literally the real deal and the guy that I look to whenever I'm struggling to see what he's doing. Obviously, I bowled with him 1 week on the long in Springfield, and he's just bowling really well right now. We crossed with TJ as well, Tommy Jones, and he just said he's never seen Bill bowl this good. He's really just doing it, and I think that's the biggest difference. When you're performing at your absolute best, and you are one of the best in the world, the results are going to reflect that.
Yeah, almost like I don't know if I would say like a delayed version of like what Marshall's doing, almost kind of coming into his maximum potential finally. Competing for a Player of the Year, making shows consistently. Other than last week where he came in 33rd, he had come in the top 10 every event, obviously winning the Players. Looks like Bill is becoming the Bill everybody expected him to become back in 2006 when he came out.
I did have a conversation with Jake Peters, and he was saying that Fagan, he had a conversation with Fagan, Mike Fagan, for those of you that don't know, really good, 5-time PBA champion, 2 majors, honestly still might make it into the Hall of Fame, but anyways, besides the point, he believes that you don't enter your prime until you're in that 37 to 43 years old range. Because at that point, that's when you've kind of seen it all, experience-wise. Even as long as we've been bowling, we haven't seen it all. There's still things that we're going to encounter that we're like, okay, that's something that I can pick up on. But at that point, that's when all cylinders, I feel, should be firing. And I think that's where Bill's at right now.
Yeah, bowling's not entirely the most physical sport like a football, basketball. You gain a lot of power by gaining experience and by seeing different situations, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and he's got close to 20 years of experience now out on the tour, and he's battled some injuries last couple of years, but now obviously is healthy and is beating the brains out of most of the rest of the field, except for these 2 guys ahead of him. Moving up to number 2, we have last week's runner-up, EJ Tackett, has made the show in every event after the Players' Championship.
I bowled with him this week. The Anderson, Indiana events, and it's just, it is impressive to watch it through a screen. It's impressive to watch it behind in the crowd, but when you just watch it in front of your face, when you're bowling with the guy, you just see the noticeable differences in just how he plays the lanes, how he executes shots, his expectations, and just the overall game itself. It leaves you speechless. You don't really know what to say. You just watch and go, wow.
Yeah, it's even more difficult when you're bowling with him. Obviously, we both have this experience. I like to say we're 2 world-class bowlers, and when he's chopping up the lanes a little more than you are, and you look at the end of qualifying and he's beating you by 400, 500, and it didn't even look like it. It's one of the more impressive things you could experience because you know what's on the lane, you know what you need to do, and then you're just watching this guy get up, pick up the Venom Shock, throw 1 shot, he goes back, drinks his water, and it happens over and over and over and over and over.
It's just kind of funny because his demeanor on the lanes, you would expect him, not to be bowling great, but you look up at the scoreboard, the guy's angry about bowling 250 because he didn't get a couple of hits.
Yep.
And I didn't really help myself. I was in last place after the first block, but even the blocks that I did start bowling well, I had a couple 220 over blocks, averaging close to 240. I look up again at the end of the block, he's beating me by 100 for the block. So, just goes to show how good this guy is. But, we put him at number 2. You might be thinking a little like, why number 2?
Yeah, why do we have Another great friend of the program, Anthony Simonson at number 1. Finished lower than both EJ and Kyle, but we moved him up from number 2 to number 1. How did we get there?
In my opinion, and this is how I'm feeling, I might be a little biased. I'm a big Simo guy. You know, I live in the same state. We see each other pretty. Actually, we don't really see each other that often, but you know, we're pretty tight. He has won in this building. How did he win?
He won using the left side of the lane, famously for his backup ball. Perhaps a weapon we see come out this week again, especially in match play.
Yeah, everything that we've mentioned so far, you know, the ball returns being a little tricky. I mean, of all people, he's probably one that can do the two-step pretty successfully. But if he doesn't have to and the left looks pretty good, that's an option for him. And he has success with it. So he has confidence using it. I don't think he'll even second guess it if he has to, if he feels like he has to. So that's the reason why I give Simo the edge this week in this building.
Yeah, we've seen him just go right to it, fire away in the middle of a block. He'll just start throwing a backup ball if it's what he thinks he's going to strike the most with. And all he has to do is just sneak into that top 16. And then when he's mano-y-mano, if he's bowling, you know, another right-hander and the right gets a little chopped up, he'll just go to the other side of the lane perhaps and string an 8-bagger and beat you. So you just never know exactly with Anthony Simon what you're going to get. But you know you're going to get electricity.
I do want to mention that it feels like he's not bowling great this year.
Yeah.
And you look at his weeks, his week to week, it's still, you know, any player would love to have the year that he's having so far.
Yeah, you don't feel like you've gotten the full Anthony Simonson experience this year because last year obviously was so fantastic, coming top 10 in every event. I think he's only missed the top 10 once or twice this year with a win. So I still believe that he is going to win the Player of the Year this year. That was my way too early prediction concerning his last 2 seasons.
You know, he's still a Player of the Year candidate at the moment.
There are still 3 majors to be had. 2-time defending Masters champion, 3-time Masters champion, former TOC runner-up, former World Championship runner-up, all events that are coming up.
He'll win them all eventually.
He's going to be a Super Slam winner. It's just a matter of time.
Possibly multiple.
I believe he will go down as the greatest bowler of all time.
Very young in his career so far.
My other way too early prediction, but Anthony Simonson, we got back up there at number 1, back in the center where he won with the famous backup ball. That is it. That is the power rankings for week 6 at the, I don't even know what this event's called. Is it the Delaware Classic?
Something like that. Middletown, Delaware Classic.
Yeah.
It's in my expense sheet. I could tell you right now.
The rankings for the event, which is happening in Delaware. That's it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Joining us, the world famous Darren Tang.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
You better like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm sure you guys all already are, but if you aren't, go subscribe to the one and only Darren Tang. And that is it. That's all we got for you guys. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next week's Power Rankings. See ya. Wild card, Mayor. Who do you think? Who's going to win this week?
Darren.
Oh!
I like that one.
A little Darren Tang call with the brand new High Road.
With the brand new High Road.
From TV Bowling Supply.
Bowling on the title match.
That's right. Be on the lookout. High Road
Tumbly.
in the TV match.
Gotta remember the shoulder.
That's right.
Yeah. My coach.
We're getting them straightened out. Anyways, guys, thanks again. See ya.